See if we get flagged for illegal music today. Hello? Wow, that got big.
Let's go.
That got big and fast.
Dark and velvety.
Ooh.
The green caramel notes. Caramel notes.
Dark and velvety.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
How are we looking color-wise?
I think we look pretty darn good.
Okay.
What do you think?
It seems a little dark, but I can't tell if it's just my angle. Let me look at my phone.
John, you're currently behind a splash screen, so
That's alright.
we will fix that eventually.
Eventually.
What
No,
happened?
it's not too bad.
What happened to our music?
Hello. It's me. Oh my.
There we go.
Oh my. This one's a little more.
What's that?
This one's certainly more baroque.
Yeah.
Let's see. What do I imagine? I imagine being in the company of King Henry VIII right now. We're in the royal throne room.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen A Man for All
That's
Seasons?
being weird
Yeah.
here.
Great
Couple
film.
times, yeah.
Great movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna restart my phone
Okay.
because my phone's being weird.
Not appreciated.
I do not appreciate this, Mr. Phone.
We have a running movie commentary thing on this show, so it seems like movies come up. At least like what 30 or 40% of our shows.
Good.
That's probably true.
Perfetto.
Perfetto.
Now you know how to speak Italian.
We will.
Perfetto.
Will I?
Of course.
I mean, it's only one step away from Spanish. I really should.
It's so quiet here without the music.
It's true.
It's just wrong. It's just wrong.
I need to look up a question somebody sent me a while ago. So I haven't gotten to it.
So you can answer it.
Exactly. Kavanaugh. Who's the person? Happy rejoicing or something. Okay, yeah, that's right. And then
Is the coffee at the right strength?
it's pretty good. I think it. I have only had one sip, so let me try it a little more. Make sure I get the mouth feel right. The notes. nail it down.
I see.
Looks pretty good. Maybe a tad. Oh, but it's delicious. Maybe a tad weak.
Plan to follow his designs.
The coffee doesn't taste like burnt though.
This is
Like I think it steeps at the right temperature or something.
good. Can't go wrong with Black & Decker. Do you know a lot about coffee?
Not a ton, but I like to drink it.
There we go.
There are a ton of places in Omaha, like just a ton of coffee shops. So.
Yeah. When I was there, my favorite was Black Dog Cafe.
Black Dog.
I think it was.
Black Dog's the one that's on 87th Street.
That's not right then.
Mug Life.
Mug Life. Mug Life. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was very good.
Mhm.
They have pour over there.
Mhm.
Then they had like a schism or something because, like, I think some people from their company moved up by the cathedral and opened a shop.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all drip.
Ooh,
So.
strange.
But
Do
it's
you know
still
the
very
owners?
good.
Do you remember the owners at Mug Life?
No.
Okay, we knew
What is
Deacon
going
Mersman and I knew the owners pretty well.
Oh,
We were
really?
right there when they were starting it all.
Oh, really?
And I'm trying to remember their names. It's been so long since I thought about them. But Mersman kept in contact with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's funny.
Matt and something else. And
That's my problem.
his wife, I believe, or a woman, one of the two. Matt, they're great people.
I think.
Hey Merson, if you're watching, answer that question for me. The owners of Mug Life, Matt and something else.
Well, hello everybody. We're having trouble. There we go. Having a little trouble with music this morning, and it's not the same without the music.
It's true.
So, well, welcome everybody. We'll get started here. Let me. Volume problems. Let's see here. Well, we were talking in kind of hushed tones. Oh, I know what I did.
Oh, really?
There we go.
You see, I went to go plug that in, but I didn't want to plug in the wrong place this morning, so...
I plugged in the wrong place, so I took care of that for
What
you.
can I say?
All right, you should be able to hear us now.
Hello,
I
hello.
plugged in the wrong spot.
I can't sing along to this one. It's very sad. Dun, 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 dun.
Alright. Okay, well, welcome everybody, and we have a new person with us today, and we will take down the splash screen so you can actually see him. So there he is. Hello, welcome. We were talking about you last week.
Really?
Yeah, when I was talking about you yesterday, saying that you might be here today, so we're glad to have you here. I'll turn down the music now that it's working here. So welcome. I need to change the thing here. So just a second here.
Is that thing? Oh, does it say Mersman on it
It's
still?
and he's gone.
This is not Deacon
I'm not
Mersman
a
lost
priest.
a lot of weight. Father Mersman.
Yeah, Deacon Anthony does not exactly exist anymore.
This is true.
So let's see here.
I'm going to lighten the picture just a tad
Alright,
bit because
cool.
our darks are a little dark.
And seminarian John
There we go.
Donart.
Donart.
All right, well, welcome. So here we go. If you are wondering who this other fella is here, to my left, possibly
To
to
my
your is. Well, why don't you introduce yourself there, John?
Yeah, I'm John Donart.
Very good. Why are you here in our house?
So I'm a seminarian and I'm here for the summer. I just finished my spirituality year at St. John Vianney in Denver.
And you're going to have to share with our folks what that means. So, is the sound better, by the way? I think it was just plugged in the wrong spot. So I think that we got it. There we go. I see it now.
Could you do me the favor of turning down the background music a tad bit?
Yep.
It's so interesting. My brain keeps going to that.
I see. I
Yeah.
see. Yes.
That's my problem. That's why I can't do music and homework or anything at the same time.
Okay.
Because my brain just goes to the music and
Yeah.
my homework fails.
I feel this.
So, yeah, that's interesting. The spirituality here.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so spirituality year is the very first year of formation out in Denver. and that's compared to the seminary in St. Louis, which doesn't have a spirituality year.
Yeah, did you have a spirituality year?
I did not have a spirituality.
I did not have a
I'm not very
spirituality year.
spiritual.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I am either.
we're
yet,
disasters here, but
Yeah. But yeah, so it's just a year of just focusing on the faith life, focusing on growing in the spiritual life. We spend all year working towards a 30-day silent retreat. So we have a couple shorter retreats throughout the year, but yeah, so that's kind of the main thing is the 30-day silent retreat, which I did not get to do yet.
Right.
So,
the whole thing that you were focusing on. So when was the silent retreat supposed to be?
It was supposed to start last Monday, so like on the 15th
yeah.
or whatever that was, and then go into June. But so I'll be doing that in a couple of years at the end of philosophy for me. So.
So you entered seminary, so different than Father Ashmore, who entered directly out of high school.
This is true. I was just a young pup, 18
yeah.
years old, barely had hair upon my chin.
He got his first razor and second philosophy.
That's not true. Almost, but not true.
So and then I entered after I did went to KU, took a year off, and then went to seminary after that. Your story then is similar.
Yeah,
to
very
mine,
similar.
right?
Yeah, I graduated from KU and then had a couple months off after I graduated, and then went on to St. John Vianney. So
Very good.
So you graduated in 15, was it? Before?
From college?
From high school.
Oh, from high school, 2015.
2015. Okay, so then you graduated from college in 2019.
Yeah.
2019?
December of 2018, but.
Okay.
So.
Very good.
And then that.
And so he will have then 2 more years than I had back in my day. They've done some renovations of the seminary program, and so when I started, if someone were to start in my same situation today, I would do the same thing that he did. But I only did 1 year of philosophy, and I didn't have a spirituality year. So my seminary was just 5 years. Yours will be, God willing, and should you be called to the priesthood after all of these years, it would be a 7-year
7
program
years,
for you,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it'd be 1 year of spirituality, 2 years of philosophy, and 4 years of theology.
Yeah.
That's right, a little more. There's something about that it's just.
Okay, I'll go back to
It's
the
messing
normal,
with my hearing.
the
aids.
normal horn concerto. All right, there you can just put this into the back of your brain. Dun, dun, dun. All right, and then I won't get any copyright claims. Wow. Okay. The music is distracting completely. So they don't. The people have spoken. They don't want music at all. So. All right, very good. We've always had music. But...
Right. I've always not liked it, but...
Okay. Here it comes. All right, well, okay, so I'll just turn it off. All right, very good. So no more music. We are done with music. So...
Do we have this turn on the right setting? Well, I'm just curious because Terry says that he can't hear me, so I was wondering if we had it on the circular setting or not.
Oh, dear. It is on circular. It is there.
It could be I just wasn't speaking loud enough. I just wanted to make sure we were on the circular.
Okay, very good. So no music, and hopefully the sound is working now. So all right. So let's see here. Where were we?
So the difference between pre-theology in your days and pre-theology in the modern times.
Modern times.
So you had a 1 year of pre-theology.
I did.
And so it was a total of a 5-year program for you. And nowadays, it's a total of a 6-year, almost 7-year program, depending on which seminary. So you're at Denver, John Vianney, and that means that you're at the 7-year program.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. And so that first year is the spirituality year, and that's where tell us more about that because I know about it. I actually did my 30-day retreat by leeching onto the John Vianney retreat. I was a parasite. I just jumped on, and they eventually decided not to kick me out. But no, I did the 30-day retreat with John Vianney. But I heard there's some really interesting things that go on as part of it, like a poverty immersion and a camping trip, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll start with the camping trip. That's just something our seminary does at the beginning of every school year. So we'll just go to the mountains for a few days. Like last year, we went to Gunnison and then yeah, just camped overnight for a few nights, and then some guys climbed a 14er. I did not.
Okay.
I don't think my body is ready. Yeah, but some of us went on a more medium style hike, and yeah, it was a beautiful view. So yeah, camping trip happens every year. Hopefully, it will happen this fall. Who knows? But yeah, and then poverty immersion every January. Yeah, the spirituality year guys get sent out across the country. 2 by 2. I was actually in a group of 3 this year since we had an odd number of guys, but 2 by 2 across the country just to do service for a month. Yeah, that could be at like a homeless shelter, other places that just, yeah.
And you went to Gallup, right? Okay.
Yeah.
What's in Gallup?
So the Missionaries of Charity, so Mother Teresa's order, they have a shelter. It's a homeless shelter, and they also serve meals. But it's kind of a special type of shelter. It's called a wet shelter, where they allow men and women to come in intoxicated, and they can get a meal there, and the men can stay overnight. Because most shelters, they'll breathalyze the people who come in before, and basically if you're intoxicated at all, they won't let you in. But not the Missionary of Charity shelter. So.
Well, what's their reasoning for doing that? For allowing persons to be intoxicated when they come in?
I think just because the need, especially in Gallup, is very high, and there's not. I don't think there's really many other places or any other places that will allow men to come in if they're intoxicated. So Gallup has a very big problem with alcohol and alcoholism. So. Yeah, so it's much needed there.
So what kind of work did you do?
A lot of cleaning, like mopping floors, sweeping floors every day. Yeah, some like a little bit of laundry too for, like every week we had to clean the sheets. And so ton of cleaning, a little bit of cooking, but also just like when the men came in, we'd have to pat them down, search their bags. Yeah, just make sure that they're not bringing in any alcohol, essentially. And if we did find something, just kind of give them the choice, saying like, we're going to take this away if you stay, but like the choice is ultimately yours. So, yeah, a lot of it was just kind of making sure that, that it's kind of safe, and then helping serve meals as well. And,
A month is a long time to do that.
Yeah. It was a very difficult month. I won't lie, but.
Okay. Do you have any anything that you learned from it that month? Obviously, I'm sure you learned a lot, but.
Yeah. Really just trusting in God's providence. Because when they send us from the seminary, they basically have us bring like a change of clothes, like some toiletries, but that's about it. So yeah, there's a few kind of funny stories. Like I ended up getting the Missionaries of Charity's van. Like it's a 15-passenger van. I got it stuck in the mud. They loaned it to us on our day off. So we went driving a little bit, and I got it stuck in the mud. And when I did, I thought we would have been stuck out there for hours and hours, but like within 10 minutes, somebody with a 4-wheel drive truck, like this huge truck, came through, and he was able to get us out. I think like the risk of him getting stuck was actually pretty high too. So we're lucky we didn't have both of our cars stuck. But yeah, just kind of that fact that within 10 minutes, there was kind of an answer to our prayers. We were praying that we aren't gonna, because we didn't have a cell phone either. So.
Right.
Yeah, so we were kind of just, whatever happens right now. So.
Right, you didn't have a cell phone. Did you mention that about the?
Oh no, I didn't. So part of the spirituality year is just that we're not really allowed to have a cell phone throughout the year. We can have a flip phone, which we can use on Saturdays and Sundays. But yeah, that's about it. We can only watch TV on Saturdays, really. Sundays are mostly just for calling family, sending emails to whoever we need to, but beyond that, we're not really supposed to do.
Who's the priest who's in charge of it all? What's his name?
So Father Jim Thermos was in charge of it for a long time,
okay.
but Yeah, he stopped in December, so
Oh.
he kind of did a half year with
Okay.
us. But
Now you guys had like a movie night, didn't
yeah,
you?
yeah, every Sunday night we'd watch a movie. So like Man for All Seasons was one of them. Yeah, just a lot, like a very wide range of movies. We'd watch some Saint
I did not
movies.
star in A Man for All Seasons or anything. That's not. We were talking about it right before this. I have nothing to do with it. hmm
Yeah, so Saint movies, but also yeah, just like blockbusters like October Sky, if you've seen that one, but
No.
came out around 2000. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That was a rocket one, right? Or
Yeah.
something?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's got Jake Gyllenhaal in it.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that movie. We watched it in 7th and 8th grade. Science, remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
The great American tradition of just watching a movie instead of
Yep.
That's right.
Especially when the substitute teachers come in.
Exactly.
Very good. Carly asked, how is it determined which seminary a seminarian will attend?
Yeah, so it's mostly up to the bishop and the vocations director. I think each seminarian kind of gets a little bit of a say. Just like I think I'd fit in well here, but ultimately up to the bishop, and he'll say where I'll go.
So each seminary has certain specialties, one might say,
Mhm.
something that they're particularly good at. I would say one of the great things about Denver is the spirituality year, and they've got a really great brotherly mentality there.
Mhm,
So
mhm, yeah.
I always say that Denver is a seminary for bros, and Kendrick is a seminary for pros. So that sounds terrible.
I see.
No, that, I don't mean that to be any denigrating either one.
Yeah.
But Denver has the kind of reputation of really the more the camping mentality, more going into the mountains, and Kendrick has more of the reputation of professional, wearing our suits kind of mentality. When you look at the seminarians,
Mhm.
when you see a Denver seminarian, the stereotype of them are they have their flannel on, they've got their Birkin socks
Yep,
on.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's pretty true.
And the stereotype of Kendrick seminarians we're very uptight. We got our nice 1950s glasses on, that sort of thing.
I see.
Is that not true?
No, I think that's fair. I think that's fair on all accounts. So.
And one of the good things that Denver does, they've got a great academic program. They've got a great spiritual. Denver's a very, very good seminary. One of the great things about Kenrick is we've got a really great academic formation
Mhm.
program. We've got, I would say, a slightly more developed pastoral formation program.
Mhm. Yeah.
Just we get to spend more time in parishes than other seminaries.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Another kind of interesting thing about St. John Vianney is that, just like where the men live. So we only have philosophy guys actually live on campus, and the theology guys, they live kind of in different parishes. So I think there's 3 parishes right now, and so each have about like 10 men, and they just live in like old convents or rectories, just really close to the parishes. So they live off campus and they'll kind of commute onto campus. So it's just kind of like a different kind of living atmosphere, I guess. But
But it prepares you well, I think. I think probably the idea is to get... You can get kind of secluded and isolated in
Yeah.
a seminary setting. I think that was probably
Mhm.
kind of one of the responses is to...
Mhm.
And there's an advantage to that as well, but there's just different approaches that sometimes that might be helpful for some people and
Yeah,
less helpful
Yeah.
for others.
yeah, absolutely.
So generally what happens, the whole process of entering the seminary is you apply to the archdiocese, and then the archdiocese accepts you after a long process of
Mhm.
different tests, different psychological exams, different interviews. And from that point on, generally the diocese gives you the opportunity to visit a couple seminaries. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, but generally
Right.
so. And then they say, what did you think about them? What did you like about them? Is there one that you like more than the others? And then the bishop and the vocation director have a conversation, including what you
Mhm.
told them, and it may go what you were thinking, it may go a different direction, but
Yeah.
they take your input as part of it.
Yeah.
And basically we use 2 seminaries now.
Basically, yeah.
There are a few exceptions. So the main seminaries, I mean, for theology, the main seminaries are Kenrick and Denver. What's your one?
St. John Vianney.
Yep.
It used to be called something different.
Thomas
Yeah,
Aquinas.
St. Thomas. Yeah.
St. John Vianney. So those are the two seminaries for theology, or those are called major seminaries.
Yeah.
Philosophy, then, or the college seminary, there's basically two choices also, be Conception and Kenrick. There's not one at St. John Vianney, right?
Right.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two college seminaries that people would go to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple outliers. Sometimes we send people to Rome to study at the North American College.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we send people like Father Travis Meekum went to
John the 23rd.
John the 23rd,
in Boston.
which is the old guys seminary.
It's true, they specialize in late vocations, they're called. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of teasing, but I'm kind of not. That if someone has had a pretty full career, this seminary was established for someone who has a pretty full career and goes to the seminary because it then tailors more for them. So Travis, I don't know what Father Travis did before.
Yeah.
Like Father Mike,
Pharmaceuticals or something like that?
Father Mike Kohler at Holy Trinity, he had a pretty long military career. I think he retired from the military and then went to seminary. And so he went to John the 23rd. Now he could have gone to another seminary. They could have gone to Kenrick or whatever.
Right.
But the idea is maybe it was better for guys that are in their 40s or their 50s not to be in the same seminary with guys in their 20s. So they're a different place in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So it was established especially for those who discern the priesthood later in life. So those are kind of the outliers. And then we have had other seminaries that we used to use. We used to use Meinrad, which is in Indiana, and we used to use Mundelein, which is where I went. The last class from Mundelein graduated with you last year, and so we're not using Mundelein anymore. The idea is basically to focus, because you want to have some sort of, you want to have priests coming out of the seminary knowing at least some people. If we get too spread out, then
exactly. So we've got a good contingent of men at St. John Vianney and Kenrick at this point. So you have a community at each. We haven't used Meinrad since Father Mitchell Zimmerman. Was he one of the last ones? Was somebody else after him?
I think he was the last one that graduated. Yep.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
There was a couple others that were after him but didn't finish.
Yeah.
If I recall. So Father Mitchell Zimmerman was the class after me.
Okay.
At Conception, there was always a rivalry with Meinrad, and so they were always the butt of our jokes.
I see. Because they're both Benedictine.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're both
Seminaries.
Benedictine monasteries, and
Yeah, I went to visit Meinrad I think twice.
it's supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. The lovely seminary. It is kind of similar in my memory to layout as Conception.
Yeah.
But again, that was a long time ago. I kind of took a long route, I think a couple times to get to Chicago, kind of going out of my way to visit Father Mitchell Zimmerman and the other guys who were there. So,
So throughout your spirituality year, you had the poverty immersion, which would have been in January?
January, yeah.
Okay, and you found out where you were going when they sent you, right?
Yeah, basically the day before they sent us, yeah, so.
It was exciting.
Yeah, and I wasn't allowed to tell my parents or anything, so, yeah.
Wow, how'd your mom deal with that?
I think they were they really wanted to know where I was going, my dad just he's like, so you'll tell me where you're going, right? I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, I think it was kind of hard for them.
Did they know at all during January?
No,
Wow.
no, they kind of guessed a few places, because I accidentally gave them a few clues, because they send us on a Greyhound bus, basically, just from Denver to where we're going, and so I kind of told them, it'd be a long Greyhound bus ride, 8 hours, which is a very long time on a Greyhound bus, but so they thought I was in Lincoln or Albuquerque, which Albuquerque is pretty close to Gallup. It's about 3 hours, I think.
Okay.
So they weren't far, but yeah, I think it was kind of hard for them for sure, but they were very happy to hear from me at the end of January. So, but
Very good. Well, how are you all doing? So that's kind of introduction here to our new seminarian, John. So if you have any more questions, keep them coming. Hopefully you'll be able to join us throughout the summer. He's here all summer long.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know. When do you leave? Do you have any idea? Okay.
I have no clue.
Yeah. Well, it's all up in the air too,
Yep,
because we don't know like when if and when people are coming back. They're planning on gathering in the fall, but everything is up in the air. So if you have any more questions for John, keep them coming, and again, hopefully he'll be on the show regularly throughout the summer. So if you have any questions, what are you doing? How are you keeping connected in the distance and everything? Let me go to my camera real quick to say hi. This is a standard thing that I do. I say hi to my nieces. And I was told that yesterday, let me go to the camera. I was told that Rosalie immediately asked yesterday, "Where's Father Ashmore?" Aww. So she didn't know where you were. But he's back now, Rosalie. He's right here along with John. So
whether we like it or not.
So hi, Rachel. Hi, Rosalie. Hi, Laura. I guess Laura is not there today. But I will say hi to Laura anyway. So I hope you're having a great day today, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon. You see all my Star Wars things behind me that Grandma gave me? They're sitting up on the television there. So hope you had a great day, and Dryling Girls, hello. If you are watching, I hope that you are having a super day as well. So we will go back to the show.
Here we go.
Well, do you have anything for us today, Father Ashmore?
Well, perhaps.
What we are drinking today is, I forgot to mention this. So let me go back to the camera real quick. So this is from my other sister, Kristen, who has been also watching the show. So we are drinking Lavazza. I've never heard of Lavazza, but it's from Italy. She gave this to me as a celebration of my ordination anniversary. And to drink on this show, because we are always sharing different coffees, and it's delicious. So thanks so much for the coffee, and it is going into our mouths as we drink. So
going into our mouths. Just remaining there.
Well, it's going further, and then I guess it goes further than more. So Father Ashmore, what you got anything to?
Well, I don't know. I received an email with a couple questions last week, and I never got to a couple of the topics last week, so we can bring those up at this point.
Okay.
And I'm dropping this on you guys, so we'll see.
All right.
One of the main questions of the email was about suffering.
Okay.
That it says that in one of the letters of St. Paul that we should rejoice in our suffering. Mm-hmm. Have any idea what that means?
I bet you do.
Well, any thoughts you have first?
Well, it gives us an opportunity to join with the cross of Jesus Christ, which is the salvation of the world. I mean, so when we have those opportunities, we rejoice. And then the cause. Yeah, so we have the opportunity to participate in the salvation of the world through our sufferings by connecting them to the cross of Jesus Christ. That is one thing, so those opportunities. And then just the other thing is just rejoice in all things, and one of the things that's a theme of Scripture and of our faith is that what should be a curse is actually a blessing. And so the cross should be a curse, but it turns out to be a blessing, all those reversals that happen over and over again. Mm-hmm. So when we have those times of suffering, what we should be cursing it. Oh, dang, my leg hurts. It can be a cause for also rejoicing. So that'd be my immediate unprepared answer.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just ratify what Father Kent said. Because I was kind of thinking the same thing. Just that our sufferings do make us more like Christ, and Christ in his humanity suffered as well. So there's a synergy there, I guess. But
synergy there.
Synergy.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah. I'm reading Wellspring of Worship, which it uses that like 1,000 times, so it was kind of on my head today. But yeah.
So whenever I think about this, my mind often goes back to a story I heard about John Paul II at one point. John Paul II was in a car, and I think got out of the car, and somebody shut his finger in the door. I think he was a cardinal. He may have been pope at this point, something like that. Now, I've never had my finger shut in the door, but I presume it hurts.
You've never had your finger shut in a door?
Well, not like that. Like a whole finger cut shut in a car door.
Really?
No, have you?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I tend
Maybe
to
like-
watch where my phalanges are going. That's one.
Sure, but yes, I've gotten my finger slammed in the door several times.
Well,
Like caught on a door a few times,
but never like shut to where it latches.
Oh, I'm not sure if I've been there, done that.
Yeah. So what happened was he got his finger shut in the door, and I think it latched and everything, and he just calmly looked at the person and said, "Could you please open the door? That hurts very much." And they opened the door, and he went on. But in the moment, I think the person said something along the lines of that he could tell that at that point, John Paul II was thanking God for that suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That he wanted to stop, certainly. Nobody wants their finger to be jammed in a door like that. But in the moment, he kept his entire cool and was actually even praying and thanking God for that little element of suffering. And that's a beautiful image, I think, of how we as Christians are called. Now, not necessarily we have the capacity to, but we're called to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
That we're called to suffer with thanksgiving, so wanting it to end, but recognizing that that is a gift in and of itself. And how can it be a gift? It's a good question, right? How can suffering be a gift? When we look at the history of mankind, when we look at what suffering is in and of itself, suffering is in and of itself evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would say that suffering is good qualitatively. Why? Because it hurts. It causes tremendous agony. It's something that's even almost in a way not natural to us. It is natural to us as fallen, not even as fallen, just as changeable creatures. We suffer. We experience things. But there is a certain reality that we should never be able to say that suffering is good. And yet we can say we can thank God for suffering. And I think the answer to that question of how can we say if something is evil and yet still be thankful for it is the cross of Jesus Christ, what you were saying. That John Paul II wrote a beautiful letter called Salvifici Doloris, which means the salvific effect of suffering. It's part of a longer statement, but of the salvific effect of suffering. A lot of people would think that if suffering comes into the world, if there's suffering in the world, that God should have come and taken away all of our suffering. And yet that's not what he does. He comes and he shares in our suffering. And that's a powerful image, that God comes and he endures evil with us. That's a lot different. Some people want God to come and take away all of our suffering, and that's totally understandable, but that's not what God did. And when we have a Christianity that is rainbows and butterflies, that is like the prosperity gospel, or these other Christianity that don't really deal essentially with the reality of suffering, what they're doing is they're denying that God really entered into our suffering. They're making God into somebody who just fixes rather than joins. What is God? God is with us. He's Emmanuel. He joins into our suffering. And through the cross, he transformed our suffering to where it can be something that saves the whole world. Remember, we're members of Christ's mystical body, right? That is not just a happy-go-lucky teaching from the 70s. That's true. I mean, that's what St. Paul says. But that brings great responsibility because it makes it so that we ought to suffer with Christ in his suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we suffer and we rejoice in our sufferings, it's because Christ has entered into that suffering and made it salvific. So when John Paul II has his thumb or finger jammed in the door, he realizes in that moment that could be saving a soul. And he says, thank you for allowing me to join in your suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't glory in his suffering in a sadistic, masochistic way. He says, please let it stop. Because it's still an evil. But he knows that evil can be transformed. So that's how we can rejoice in our sufferings.
Very good.
Make sense?
Yeah. I like what Michael Schurzlik says in his rosary. If we sometimes pray the rosary together on screen. We were doing that a little bit less now. We're trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday at the moment at noon, and then Saturdays in the evening. But there's also the Michael Scherzilik, the School of Faith Rosary that he does every day. He's very good about it. This podcast I usually listen on Spotify, but you can listen directly on the wherever you get a podcast. But his kind of principle of the sharing in the offering it up, as we sometimes say, sharing in the suffering of Christ, is it's what you did not choose, what you do not like, and you cannot change. Those are your, and that's a good thing to remember. Is I did not choose this, I do not like it, and I cannot change it. That is the moment that we can offer that suffering to the cross of Jesus Christ. It's not, I'm going to go look for where my suffering can be, but like St. John Paul II had his finger slammed. He did not choose that. He did not like it, and he could not change it himself. Really, he had to have someone else change that. So that's kind of the principle that I think is very nice, concise way of parsing that out. So,
the beauty of Christianity is that Jesus took on everything we are. I mean, to such an extent that St. Paul says something that's confounding, that Christ became sin himself. Now, obviously, Christ did not sin, but what Paul is trying to get at there is that he has this utter solidarity with us. And so he takes on what we do not choose, what we cannot change, what we don't like. I think those three things. He takes on those things, and he transforms them from within. And that is dramatically different than any other religion. Any other religion, no matter how good they are, they don't have God joining in with our suffering. Because ultimately, they didn't receive the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Right.
Christianity is the only one where God comes and joins in our suffering.
Right.
And that's the beauty and that's the truth of it. If we neglect that fact, then we've forgotten what Christianity is.
Yeah, and I think about Father Ciszek's book, He Leadeth Me, and he goes through basically this litany of the sufferings like Christ endured, and it wasn't just his cross, it was like he says, Christ also endured like a toothache, or endured exhaustion from a hot day, from walking around all day. So he's with us in those too, like in kind of like the little sufferings we have as well. But.
Yeah, very good. Did you have something else there also, Father Esmer?
No, that's about it for the day. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay, very good. So I don't see any more questions here on our on the feed. Let me check over on the tube here, see if there's anything else. You have a question about the menu. Is that today's? Yeah, it is. The menu for Sunday's Via.
I haven't looked at it yet. I'll
Okay.
have one.
Are you doing cooking?
No,
Okay,
probably not.
So it's not cooking for every Via.
No, that happened once.
Yeah, I did. Okay, so
Who is that?
that's Anne
Yeah.
Huey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have a plan just at the moment, but I will have one.
So it'll be a normal whatever the
Yeah.
Via topic or something. So it's not,
Exactly.
you don't have to go shopping for food.
No.
in short.
No. Well, I'll make sure about that. That in the
Right.
future. So don't worry.
Yeah. So I think, but you're probably going to do you might do a cooking show again,
Certainly.
but there'll be plenty of warning.
Yes,
before
exactly.
that.
So that we can make sure to get supplies and everybody can get a recipe and that sort of thing. What happened on the call yesterday? What is that?
What happened on the call yesterday?
I don't know.
I don't know. What? Is that for the? Great. Yes, from the. I was talking about the staff meeting that we had yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So I believe that our plan. Thanks. Good question. Good follow up. So I believe that our plan for the moment is we had a long staff meeting yesterday. They don't generally go that long, but they were really long. So we had to really parse out and process this out. So my plan didn't entirely work, which is generally what happens. Things sound so brilliant in my brain, and then they never work. Or not never, but rarely work. But so what we're going to plan on doing is we're going to plan on opening up, and you will get more information about this, but we are going to open up, we're going to start with 2 masses. We're going to start off with the 8 and the 10 o'clock mass. There'll be, and then the 12:15 mass in Spanish. So we're going to have 3 masses on Sunday. So we're opening up one more mass and those will be open up to Sign Up Genius. That you will sign up for beforehand. 125 spots for each thing, with a limited number of
Yes, a limited number is the phrase we're using.
of. I'm talking about after the fact. There's a limited number.
I think I know what you're talking about, but you haven't made it clear yet.
Okay, I think there'll be a limited number of walk-ups that will be available.
Yes, thank you.
We were I recommend strongly using the Sign Up Genius beforehand, but because we would have to turn people away if there are too many people.
You
that come.
guarantee your spot by signing up.
Guarantee your spot, and you will have to sign up regardless, whether that's beforehand or when you get to the door. There, you will either have to check in or sign in. It'll go much smoother if you sign up ahead of time, because then we just have to check you off instead of getting your name and your phone number, that information. So
Exactly.
that's the plan. We're going to start with the 8 and the 10. If we find that those masses are
Sufficient?
sufficient or packed, if there are too many people for too much interest to come back to the mass, then we'll add another one.
We will.
That's
Absolutely.
the plan. So we're starting off with 2. What the original plan was to start off with 1 and then just expand from there, but that was too complicated to do. We couldn't make that work. So we're going to just do the 2 for the moment. If there's way too many, then we'll add another one. And if there's way too few, then we'll take one away. So we just... What's my line?
Come on.
This is your first pandemic.
Yeah,
This is my first pandemic.
I
So-
wanted a witty way of destroying that, but they haven't.
Right, I know. There should be like a ding or something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, a
we
little
should have a betting. We should play a betting game in the fireside chat. At what moment will Father Kent say his standard line of "This is my first pandemic"? So whatever we're at 10:44. So 10:44.
Took a while today.
Yeah, this is my first pandemic. So that's the plan currently. So the sign up ahead of time. 125 spots are available with limited walk-up traffic, but you will still have to sign in. So that's the plan.
Yes, there will still be masks. All the same restrictions that have been so far when it comes to masks. How we distribute Holy Communion, how the music and everything of that sort. All those restrictions, I suppose, at this point are remaining in effect. The only thing that is changing is now that the Sunday masses are available to the public in a limited one.
In June, not this Sunday. This
Yes.
Sunday is the final Sunday for the First Communion masses on Sunday. We are going to then start. We're going to do 4 more First Communion masses in June. 2 on the 6th and 2 on the 27th, or whatever that day is. 11 and 2. One is in English and one is in Spanish. So those will be moved off of Sunday, and we'll have 4 First Communion masses. We should then have most of the people taken care of for the First Communion at that time. So that will have been 4 plus 6, 10 First Communion masses. I think we'll have most of our people taken care of. There are, I think, still some people that want to wait. They're not comfortable coming back, and that is just fine. But we got a lot of people asking us, when can we do our First Communion? So we wanted to respond to that as quickly as possible. We do not yet have an answer about confirmation.
No.
So I know people have been asking about that.
We're just trying to think about how to do it best so that we can have the best, most beautiful celebration while also maintaining safety, and that's just a difficult balance to be struck.
There is the limit of the 45 minutes for Mass, and so that gets a little bit challenging for doing a confirmation Mass. So, because each of the candidates needs to be anointed with the oil. I do have permission as pastor. Our Bishop gave us that permission in this special time to do that. I think that's the way we're going to go. He also offered to come and reschedule, but we are thinking that would not be till October, November, and
If we're lucky.
So, and then we're getting into next year's confirmation. So I think it's probably best this year for me to do it. It's not ideal. I often talk about is, one of the reasons that we have the bishop do confirmation, because I can do it, and I have the power if I get the permission. One of the nice things about confirmation is that every Catholic has contact with the hierarchical church through confirmation.
Yeah.
And if not through confirmation, then through the rite of welcoming.
Mm-hmm.
So every Catholic, at least one time in their life, has contact with the hierarchical church, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, certainly.
Except in these strange situations like this.
Yeah.
So I do feel bad that this group would not have contact with the hierarchical church. But
That's what we're dealing with.
these are weird times, of course. So
The
There-
sign-up genius has not been sent out yet.
Right.
You will be receiving communications, especially if you have signed up for Flock Notes. I believe most of it will be coming out through Flock Notes. Is that
yeah, and I
correct?
think so. Please sign up for Flock Notes. We try to keep people informed there, and then I imagine that Mary Losick will probably send something out to the email list that she has. I do not have that email list. Mary has the that contact list,
Right.
so I think that she might send out an email as well, getting people connected to that. And so that's going to be our plan for June. Again, we're still at the 25% capacity for church and the 45-minute time limit for Mass. So we are under those restrictions, and so we're trying to accommodate and trying to be there for the people. And I know a lot of people aren't feeling comfortable. We're going to still live stream the 10 and 12:15 Mass. That will be going on for a long time. And the obligation still is, you are still dispensed from the obligation to attend Mass. That will be there for a long time. So those things have not changed. But many people do want to receive Holy Communion, and I get it. Absolutely, it's great to receive the sacraments. You can receive it spiritually, yes, but the sacraments are designed to be received materially, and physically.
For individuals who need to receive low balloon hosts, is there a plan in place? There is not currently a plan, but we will make a plan for that. We just haven't discussed that fact. I think it will be very similar to what happened previously.
Yeah, it's a great question.
It'll be very similar. We'll figure out how to do that
Yeah.
effectively, and we may contact particular persons to see.
Yeah,
how to
great
do that
question
well.
there, Teresa.
Thanks for reminding us. We appreciate it.
we've been away from it for so long. But yeah,
Well,
we'll
and that's actually more of a need now too, especially because for persons who are not able to receive the host or even a low gluten host, the child's not even available now. So,
exactly right.
we need to think about that well and carefully.
Yeah. So I imagine we can just we can figure out the place to set the little pic so you can preset it and everything. So yeah. Very good. So that was the plan from there. And we also spent a lot of time talking about how we reopen the office. So in summary, the office is reopened, but no one is required to come in at this time, especially if they don't feel safe. We are encouraged to do what we can from home still. But I believe that Susan will be there from 8:30 to 12:30.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yes.
And we then are encouraged. So we're still not having any meetings there. So there's all of the meetings like Knights of Columbus and Parish Council, Finance Council. All that is still happening over video conferencing, Zoom or whatever. And then if we have any private meetings, like if I'm meeting with a couple or something. You had a good organization of the three plan. You want to say your three
Sure.
thing? I'll put you on the ash cam. We haven't had the ash cam at all.
No. Okay.
We set it up and all, so we'll take
I
you over.
even brought it down for you.
I know,
Okay.
it's so nice.
So when we were discussing all of this, we had several different ideas about, well, we could do meetings this way, and so I just invite everybody to think about it in a three preferential option sort of way. The first preferred option for a meeting is over Zoom or some other web chat medium. So if we can do a Zoom meeting, we will do a Zoom meeting. Second of all, if that's not a possibility because of the need for paperwork or perhaps some topics just need to be parsed out a little bit more face-to-face, we will do meetings outside of the church, perhaps in some designated area, which that's still part of the conversation. And the third option is to do meetings in an open public space in the church, particularly in the welcoming space or in the community center rooms where we can ensure proper cleaning. So that's our three level. If we need to have a meeting, we're going to try to do it via Zoom. If we can't do it via Zoom, we'll do it outside. And if we can't do it outside, we'll do it in one of the public welcoming spaces.
Yep. So I think that's a good kind of summary of those the three things. So yeah, that's what happened from our staff meeting yesterday. So thanks for that reminder. So yes, you should be hearing more about the process and how you attend Mass and everything coming soon. Again, it's not for this weekend, so we still got a little bit of time, but the communication should be coming out shortly. I will also be talking about that at the Mass, the live stream Mass, this weekend. So
Great.
anything else?
That's about it for the day.
All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock. It's Friday tomorrow. My days are all getting confused, especially with
You're
this.
right. Yeah, exactly. With a couple days off there.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about that. We
We
didn't
didn't.
save that for tomorrow.
We have plenty to talk about.
All right. Very good. So have a great rest of the day. I've also got some great questions. Remind me, I've got some great questions from my sister
Oh, cool.
about vocation, but she's at the doctor's office right now. So
Okay.
we'll save that for when she can actually watch our responses. So
Perfect.
she sent it to me yesterday just because I was flying solo and just in case I need some material, but I want to talk these out with you. So
That'd be awesome.
yeah. So anyway, tune in tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow, 10 o'clock. See you then.
Thank you all so much. God bless you all.